everyone. Before we get started, as you probably know, our chair and vice chair are out this evening, so I am requesting, before we start to go on here, just to step into the role of chair for the evening to lead the meeting discussions. Like to certain capacity. If you need help, I'll be here. I'll be here to help you guide you through it. I just need one of you to cover.
The sacrificial lamb. We need one sacrificial lamb.
All right, I'll do it.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it. With that one, we will-
I got out of that.
Call the meeting forward.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do the roll call.
Gary Jansen, Paul Spranger, Brian Shelton.
Here.
Rick Schellenberger.
Here.
Scott Phillips.
Here.
Steve Conway.
Here.
Toby Meadows.
Here.
Motion to set the agenda.
Make motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Approval of the draft minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
That's fine, yeah, I just need a vote.
Yeah, that's why I was like.
That's fine.
Second.
All approved?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Approved. Communications.
Thank you, Baker.
So the public hearing before the Family Zoning Board.
Again, good evening, everyone. The first item before you this evening is application V-2022-02. This is the application of Wendy Bishop, who is petitioning for a building size variance. As noted in the staff report, Ms. Bishop, who is with us this evening in the audience, she lives at 534 West Albert Street, and there are two variances before us this evening. She is looking to build an 800 square foot accessory detached garage. And so there are a couple of variances before us tonight. This first one before you as the Board of Zoning Appeals is to grant a variance on the allowed building size. So per the city's adopted zoning code, on her lot, which is 0.22 acres in size, normally accessory garages are allowed to be built up to 720 square feet. Ms. Bishop is requesting that this be a variance be granted to allow her to build at 800 square feet. Included in my staff report is a letter from Ms. Bishop that does state why she is requesting this variance on the size in order to allow her to have room for her two vehicles as well as some lawn equipment and to get it out of the elements. I will note in here that in the surrounding neighborhood, which is predominantly single-family homes, there are a couple of other accessory detached garages that are larger than 720 square feet. This is going to is proposed to be built as noted on the site plan to the east of her existing home. City staff has reviewed this variance request and is recommending approval of the size. So first we're looking at this variance application is looking at the size of the building. The next one will be looking at the front yard setback. So I'm going to hold off on that until we get to that point of the meeting, to that application. Right now, before the board is, again, approval of the variance on the size. Again, going from granting a variance of 80 square feet, allowing it to be built at 800 square feet instead of 720 square feet. Again, city staff is recommending approval. I'll stand for any questions and recommend that Board Member Phillips open the public hearing, and if she so chooses, invite the applicant to address the board.
7:05, I'd like to open for public comments. That would be-
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, you, if you will, yeah, if you will. That way everyone can hear you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Wendy Bishop, and I have moved back to Valley Center from living in the country in Harvey County, where I had barns and two-car garages and lots of storage. I am excited to live back in Valley Center, and I want to have a bicycle that I can ride around with my grandkids who live about 2 blocks away from me. And I want to be able to get my cars in and out and bicycle in and out, as well as some workbenches and things, because I have some tools and I like to work with those. And I just don't want to risk scratching my cars or being able to get in and out of my car. So that's why I want to go a little bit bigger. And the yard size is quite large. And that'll make me have less mowing I have to do too. So,
Yes.
I'm
always.
older. So, and I think that's it. Just want to go a little bigger, so a little more.
Do you have any preliminary design ideas? Do you know what it's going to look like?
Yes, in fact, I don't have it with me. My builder, Cliff Williams, has, so I have a local builder, and he has already drawn up the building size and whatnot. And so all I have to do is pick the color. It's going to be a 2-car with 1 big door opening. I don't want 2 openings because I'm afraid I'm going to hit the side when I pull in. And then with a man door on the side, and then possibly, I think I wanted to do with a 7-foot, a small garage door in the back so I can raise that up and get my lawnmower in and out and whatnot for ease. I'm just thinking ahead as far as that goes. It will have windows in it, because I like light, and it'll be well lit inside. Pardon me? The building is going to be, I looked at, it's going to be like a barn at a barn 10. It's going to be colored to match the house exactly. The house is up for getting new siding. It's yellow right now, and I'm getting a taupe color. We're getting new windows also, black windows with white trim, and the building will be the same. It'll match. Other questions?
7:08, I'll close the public comments. Entertain a motion to approve.
Yeah, because I think this falls in line with what we've done before around that of allowing variances like that.
Yeah, Toby, you're absolutely right. Yeah, there have been in the past for the newer board members, about 2 years ago, we went through 4 or 5 of these, and some of them were a lot larger than an 80 square foot variance.
Substantially
And-
larger.
Yeah, and as Ms. Bishop did indicate, she does have a larger yard, which is good. I would also let you know that even with allowing the additional 80 square feet, she will be still under the maximum lot coverage.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yep.
Based on city staff recommendations, public comments, and discussion by the Board of Zoning Appeals, I, Commissioner Shellenbarger, made a motion to approve V-2022-02.
And I second it.
All those for?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion
Okay.
passes.
Great, thank you. All right, moving on to the second variance. So again, this property, so 534 West Albert Street is zoned R1B, which is one of our single-family residential districts. And per R1B, the front yard setback that is required per city code is 25 feet. This second variance request is to allow for a variance of 10 feet. So instead of 25 feet from the front property line to the edge of the building, instead of it being 25 feet, it would be 15 feet. This is still a distance back off of the street. There is also additional space in the right-of-way from the property line to the actual curb of the street. But again, this variance, application V-2022-03, is to grant a variance of 10 feet on the established front yard setback. I don't know if it's necessary for Ms. Bishop to approach the board again, but again, this request has been reviewed by city staff, and we do recommend approval of it tonight. Again, what will happen is once both of these variants, if you do decide to approve both of them, the applicant's builder contractor will submit a building permit. And at that time, we'll be reviewing that to make sure it adheres to all the existing building codes that the city has adopted as well before we issue a building permit. But at this time, city staff is recommending approval of this variance application as well.
And this is in line with what we've done before also, as a
Sorry?
variance of setting of a setback. I'm assuming it's because of the size of the building or the layout of the land that the building has to be closer to the road. Is that correct?
Yeah. Scott, would you mind opening the public hearing? Sorry.
7-Eleven, excuse me, 7-Eleven will open the hearing for comments from the public.
The reason I'd like to move it forward a little bit is if by looking at the picture, you can see how much of my yard I'll be losing
Mhm.
in concrete, if you will. If I move it forward some, I'm going to have a little bit less concrete, but I'm going to have a bigger backyard area where I can have my grandkids play, where I can have, I want to do like a cottage flower garden thing around it, and that would give me more room to do that. That's the main reason.
Well, and that's reasonable, I think, especially how much concrete is costing right now. So.
That too. That's a big reason. I really just want enough room on the driveway that if, like, my daughter came to visit, she could park her van on the driveway.
Mhm.
I think, and I know there's plenty of room for that.
At 7:12, I'll close the hearing for comments from the public.
Okay, I'm going to recommend a motion based on the city staff recommendations, public comments, and discussion to the Board of Zoning Appeals to approve B-202203. I had to look at it real quick.
I second.
All approving?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next agenda item of the evening. This is a review of a site plan application for Mr. Jim Gensel. This is for allowance of to build three multifamily residential buildings on property. This is property that was recently platted, went through the small tract plat process. This property is located to the the northwest of Main Street and Sheridan Avenue. In your packet that you did receive, it does have the set of site plans. These site plans have been reviewed and a few revisions have been made by the city staff review team. As part of this development, it will create 2 new fourplexes and then 1 triplex. There will be a private driveway constructed that'll connect to Sheridan. Each unit will have its own water meter and sewer service. Again, the city staff review team is approval of this site plan tonight, again, after the revisions that have been made to this application, to the application. We do have the applicant with us, as well as, I believe, 2 other representatives that will, along with myself, be more than happy to answer any questions the board may have in regards to this site plan application. Again, the process for this is that once you, as the board, approve this site plan, then because this is larger than a duplex, it is required to be stamped by Sedgwick County as this is considered commercial for inspection services. And so they will stamp it and adjust the building plans. Once they have the stamped building plan and you have approved the site plan, then Mr. Gensel can move forward with pulling building permits and getting building permits to build these 3 structures. We're going to stand for any questions and invite our board member Phillips to open the public hearing.
7:14, we'll open up for comments from the public.
Good evening, Phil Meyer with Boffman Company, agent for the applicant. With me here tonight is Mr. Jim Gensel and Glenn Jost. If you have questions for either of those 2, they'll be glad to answer them. these 3 and 4plexes are going to be very similar in character to what you see immediately to the north on the existing 4plexes that are adjacent to this. That I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
I'm just glad we're doing something with some of these plots of land that actually help improve our community, definitely for sure. So that's a positive step forward in that. We definitely need more housing. Other than that, no, I don't.
Thank you.
All right, 7:15, I'll close the public hearing. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. Based on city staff recommendations, public comments, and discussion by Planning and Zoning Board, I, Commissioner Schellenberger, make a motion to approve SP-2022-03.
Second.
All for?
Aye.
Any against? Okay, motion passes. So, Brian, any old or unfinished business?
Just the new business. Yep, just new business. All right. Well, good evening once again. Thank you for, again, your attendance this evening. And it is with great pleasure that I present to you a new change to our city's zoning code. So the city's current zoning code was adopted back in 2014. There has been one revision. That was the sign code that we did a few years ago back in 2019. And before you this evening is another requested revision. This would be an amendment to our city's existing zoning code. So as you are aware, we are experiencing a lot of growth at this time here in Valley Center. As a board, you've recently approved 3 new subdivisions, new plats to be built in our community. And city staff, we continue to have discussions with other developers that are looking to build and address our housing shortage that we do have here in Valley Center. To that end, a recent developer that we have been working with, that we're working with pretty intensely at this time, is looking to bring some affordable new housing to our community. And in order for this product to work, they're looking at creating a higher density, higher than what we currently have available through our current zoning districts. So as noted in my staff memo, there are a number of zoning districts that we do have that allow for either single family or multifamily homes or residences to be constructed anywhere from a single family home up to a duplex, triplex, apartment building. These do exist. However, the issue with the developer that we are currently working with is that the density is not high enough to make it a sustainable project. And so with that being the case, in consultation with this developer, we are proposing the creation of a new residential zoning district to be called R4, or a high-density multifamily residential district. And in order to make sure that what we're doing is in line with what other communities in Sedgwick County are doing, did some research on looking at some of the bulk regulations. And so in the chart that you see here on the screen and in the memo, you have everything from a minimum lot width to minimum front setback, side setbacks, rear setback, and maximum lot coverage. You'll see that most of these numbers, most of them, do fall in line with what some of the other communities are doing currently in Sedgwick County. Now, again, this applies just to that high density. Of course, other cities, just like Valley Center, have existing residential districts, such as single family, duplex, multifamily. But again, specifically what this new zoning district will do is allow for high density construction. So what we're looking at is creating a higher maximum lot coverage, reducing the building setbacks, and creating a smaller minimum lot areas. Again, this is going to assist the developer in making their product successful here in our community. So of course, this won't be just for this developer. This would be for anyone that wants to take advantage of this type of high density zoning. Think either apartments or duplexes in a tight configuration. Of course, whatever is built will still have to adhere to the city's adopted building code. So I want to make sure that you don't think we're just going to be stacking things right next to each other. Still will have to adhere to the city's existing building code, but adopting this new R4 zoning district will allow for the type of neighborhood this developer is looking to create for that to work in conjunction with our adopted building codes. What I'm asking of the board tonight is to vote to recommend approval of this. How this process will work is that in order to officially amend the city's adopted zoning code, as long as you vote to approve this tonight, I will be drafting an ordinance that will be presented to city council at a future city council meeting to formally amend the city's adopted zoning code to include this new section, which will be city code section 17.04.15. Stan, more than happy to answer any questions that the board may have at this time. But again, we're very excited about working with this developer and seeing this project move forward and being able to offer to other developers a new type of zoning district to further assist building new housing here in our community.
Would this have any impact on our existing community development plans?
So in the comprehensive plan, it does talk about different types of housing, whether it be single family or multifamily. This again is just another layer of the multifamily. So, and while we're on that subject, we are looking at our current comprehensive plan is almost expired. And so in 2024, we will be looking at doing a new comprehensive plan. So what would happen with that is that with this new zoning district, that would be part of that discussion of looking at future land use and where potentially R4 would be best, where it would best fit in Valley Center.
So that this would actually be ahead of that.
Yes.
So that would actually be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it'll give us, when we're looking at future land use, when we're looking at the current layout of Valley Center, we'll see, okay, you know, where does this high density, where do we think this will fit best in the community? Yes.
Is the intention to use it on the development on Meridian, north of town, or thinking that's pretty good?
It could potentially be used there again, not without going into specifics, since we are still in negotiations of figuring out where this is going to be. It could, you know, obviously Meridian, it could go on Meridian, it could go in other sections of the community. Again, obviously when we're reviewing rezoning applications, because if you do approve this and it does become a zoning district, we don't have any R4 zone property at this time. So wherever it is determined that R4 fits best, that will trigger a rezoning application, which would come before this board as well as city council.
What's been the process to get us to the lot widths, the maximum coverage, et cetera?
So again, the current existing zoning code was adopted back in 2014. And that was before my time. So unfortunately, I can't speak to how that discussion was handled between city staff and getting that approved. So typically what you see is with minimum lot width, with maximum lot coverage, those numbers are going to be a lot lower in single family homes and in duplexes, because again, the idea is to create low density with single family homes with duplexes. With this high density, we're looking at a lot of buildings in a smaller, more confined area. Again, still adhering to building code. So making sure that buildings are set far enough apart to meet fire standards so that we're creating a safe community, a safe neighborhood. But again, you see those larger numbers and the lower maximum lot coverage in more of the single family districts.
And how did we come up with the numbers that you're suggesting today?
So yeah, okay, great. No, I understand. So these were in consultation with the developer with what they're looking to build. This is what would work for them. And again, in looking at other communities, these numbers are pretty comparable to some of our other surrounding communities in Sedgwick County.
But the property we just had just before this actually would fit under this umbrella.
It could. It could. Again, the idea is high density. I don't think 3 buildings really meet that requirement. That's why that property, so the property that we just approved with the site plan, that was zoned R3. That was rezoned R3. So it could be R4. The advantage of having R4 with what's proposed is that it allows that higher maximum lot coverage and a higher density of buildings.
So it's based on buildings, but not necessarily people in the buildings themselves.
Correct. Yes.
But
it's
you could have 3 apartment buildings.
Mhm. Yeah. Let's say
Capacity of 50 each.
right. Let's say you had a smaller lot where you're wanting to put 3 large apartment buildings. Then it might be best to look at doing an R4 rezoning. So again, it just depends on the size of the lot, what size of buildings, and how many buildings you're looking to construct when we're looking at what could potentially fit under R4.
I don't know, maybe that's something I was thinking that for high density. When I think high density, I'm thinking population density.
Well, obviously, if you have a large number of buildings and a large number of dwelling units, then yes, your population is going to be higher.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wasn't just thinking buildings when I was looking at this. I was thinking, how many people would be in those also.
I think that's a good point. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
definitely look at it from
And
different
it doesn't
perspectives.
look at population.
Hmm.
I mean, if you're
Yeah.
looking at buildings, 3 buildings versus, I could have 3 people in a building, or I could have 50 people in a
Right.
building. And if both of them fit under the same umbrella.
Hmm.
know.
Right.
There's,
So-
to me, there's a big difference between those.
Right. Yeah. So I think moving forward, if this zoning district is adopted, it'll be up to city staff working in conjunction with you as the board to make that determination as to which zoning district we should be pursuing. So obviously looking at it on a case by case basis.
So it's up to interpretation.
Oh, definitely. Yes. And so when my office receives rezoning applications, if we do have this R4 as an option, I would definitely take that into consideration before presenting it to the board, saying, okay, it really looks like maybe R3 is going to be better than R4 for this particular case, based on dwelling units, based on maximum lot coverage. So you're correct, Rick. There are a lot of different factors that go into this. But again, while this is working specifically right now with the developer, we can use, by making this an official zoning district, we can open this up to anyone that wants to build a higher density type project, whether that be dwelling units or maximum lot coverage, whatever the consideration is. It gives us that as an option, an option we've never had before.
But it's the best purpose of this is more at an administrative role than it is anything else. I mean,
I
doesn't
think
aff-
initially maybe interpreting applications, yes.
Yeah.
But it still has to be approved by
Well, yeah.
by the planning and zoning board.
Yeah.
Any rezoning application is first reviewed by you as the board, the planning and zoning board, and then once you vote to recommend approval, a rezoning ordinance is submitted to city council for final approval.
Prior to this current negotiation with this builder, have we ever been in a situation where an R4 has prevented someone from developing?
Not to my knowledge. In my 6 years, not to my knowledge. We've always been able to make it work under R3. I think of Fieldcrest as one of probably the most recent examples of a larger type multifamily development. We've only had a few of those in my 6 years here. But again, thinking moving forward as Sedgwick County continues to experience growth, it'll be good that we are competitive with other communities that already have high density zoning, whereas we don't have anything right now to even offer. So I think moving forward, this is forward thinking, not only addressing again current development concerns, but looking forward when we look to do the new comprehensive plan, when we're looking at potential developments to be able to offer the high density zoning district as an option to attract further housing in town.
It also creates an opening for a better cost of living in a home versus a cost of the housing market right now, high density. I'm from Hawaii, so we do have high density
Okay.
areas that they put, an area that may have 2 or 3 homes here may have 25 in this area. And that creates a lower income, but it also helps to, bring more people for work and to the area of Valley Center, which we need, and we need a better housing market, but also a better price. And I think this would bring that to it, because we have so many additions going in right now that they need something that kind of goes right in the middle of that. And I think that will kind of meet the needs. And you see it in a lot of the major cities, especially high density zones like this. And it just allows people that maybe couldn't afford a $300,000 house to move into an area that has a $150,000 house, because it's closer together. So the value of the home is less.
Thank you.
It doesn't hurt to have this in our arsenal to compete with the other cities.
Exactly.
Haven't quite worked.
Yes. So again, the motion that I would be looking for, I apologize for not writing the official language, but it would just be a motion to recommend approval of the R4 zoning district and move this forward via ordinance to city council something along those lines.
Make a motion to approve the R4 zoning district.
In second.
All for?
Aye.
Any approved? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much. This is very exciting, and I appreciate you as the board supporting this. Like I said, this next I will draft the official ordinance that will again have the same language at the end of the memo, what you saw in terms of the description, the bulk regulations, all of that will be adopted via formal ordinance with city council. And then that will become officially part of Valley Center zoning code. So thank you. Other than that, I do not have any other new business. Staff reports, I would ask everyone to please mark their calendar for July 26th. That will be our next board meeting, July 26th at 7 p.m. here in this room. And that is all the business that I have this evening. If anyone has any questions, stand for questions. If not, would invite Scott to ask if there are any items by either himself or the other board members.
Any items by the board? Go ahead.
Oh, you don't have to, you just want to raise your hand. You can. If anyone has
Any
anything.
items by any board?
Okay.
Doing none, I'll make a motion to adjourn the planning zone.
Yeah.
All for?
Aye.
Any approved? Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone, and have a happy 4th of July.
Thank you.